Welcome to Hardcore Garage. The weekend is upon us. What are we going to do this weekend? Hopefully y'all are out there either attending some shows if you got some, cruise-ins, working on your rides, or just out cruising. If you haven't noticed by now, some of the ads in the beginning of the videos, yep, I finally monetized to the channel. It was a long process. Wasn't really ever my intentions in the beginning to do it like this, but the opportunity presented itself, and I thought, why not? It's been monetized for maybe this whole week. I'm not exactly sure when it happened officially, but I've made like 27 bucks. I keep telling my wife I'm ready to retire. How are we going to spend all that $27? I mean, but I hope that they make the ads at least somewhat, having to do with what we're doing in here. I don't know. I personally haven't watched any of the ads yet, but it is what it is. I hope it doesn't upset anybody that I did it. You can always skip through that stuff. It can't really hurt a guy to have a little bit extra income when you're, getting close to retirement age, right? So, yeah, man, pass this thing around for me. Share the videos, like it, hit the notification, subscribe. Most of my views, something like 97%, don't come from subscribers. So I totally appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of fun, work on a lot of different things, and a lot of times I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I try. And I'll give you the advice. If you got the money to spend, usually pay somebody, almost always. Unless you really enjoy doing the stuff, then do it yourself. But still sometimes, there's just things that are out of your skill level, and it's good to spread your money around to the community and, help others out, help build businesses. I've been in business in this town where I live, practically my entire life here. I mean, I started a business when I was super young, mowing lawns, and kind of built off that. But my current garage door business has been here since '05, so 15 years, and the community is what builds your business. You can work as hard as you want, but if you don't have people out there spreading your name around, it's never going to work. I don't spend any money on advertisement. Facebook has been a wonderful thing for that. Just posts and people that see your work, and I don't think I've ever not gotten several jobs from each job that I do. Just people put your name out there. That's just what people love to talk about good things that happen. They also love to talk about bad things that happen, and so you got to really make sure you're on point when you do have your own business. Try your best to it's your face, your reputation that's on the line when you do stuff like that. So you gotta be 100%. I don't know what this has to do with my post, my video necessarily. But anyway, I'm out here in the 64. There's still a lot of work going on with this. I owe you guys some videos of the front bags. I got all that stuff back together, and everything wasn't how I wanted it. So I'm changing some things, and there's going to be video. It's going to kind of build off the last video where you seen where I was putting things back together. I'm going to start right there with how I've modified the stuff that I originally went to put in. I still need to rip all the bags out because everything is new right now in here as far as like the front setup, other than the valve or fittings, I guess is what you want to call them, that actually go into the top of the bag. The ones that are in there now are like a multi-piece brass compression fitting, I think is what you would call it, where you put the little like washer sleeve on your line and it jams down in with the lock nut and all that stuff. So there was two different places where there was thread tape on there, and the lines didn't look the greatest, but I wasn't going to put brand new lines on those old fittings when I put it in there, so I put the old stuff back. But after you come up from them to the T is brand new, and everything to the trunk is brand new. There was, I think, maybe three different sections that had ran through the car. It actually comes through the interior of the car, which is nice, and it's not going to scrape or probably get iced up or anything like that. So now I have one whole piece going all the way to the back. It's still the old valves and fittings in the back, but it does hold air a lot better than it did on the front. Right now, this car's been sitting here for several days. It started out with 100 or more in both the front and the back. The fronts are completely done. The backs have just slightly under 40 pounds in them still. I know that systems do leak, and that system is thrown together. There's copper, there's brass, there's cast, so all that stuff will get changed, and we'll see that happen. What I really want to do, though, is I'm pretty sure that's a 3-gallon tank. There's not quite enough air to lift the front all the way with one thing of air, and then it takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes to pump the tank back up. So what I'm thinking is, if I don't want to double the size, because then I'm just right back to where I was to begin with, but I think if I went with a 5-pound tank and 2 pumps, that would give me enough air to pop the fronts up one time on one hit of air. And the 2 pumps would get the air back into the tank quicker. So I think that's the route that I'm going to eventually go on this thing. But I really just want, before that, I really want this bad boy running, not overheating. And that's why I haven't actually jacked it back up. I have everything. I got the new bushings for the upper A-arms. I didn't get new ball joints. And there's such a price difference in those ball joints that I just didn't really even know what to go with. So I just kind of flaked, and it's easy enough to pull the upper A-arms off that I'll just switch them out when I know that they need it. I was just going to do it because I had the A-arms off, and it's much easier to do it that way. But all the other projects, all the money that's bleeding out of me right now, I want to try to focus on the most important things. That being, one of the important things is making this thing not overheat anymore. So the bag's got to kind of just chill for a minute. It rides great. It's just not quite as low as what I really had intended. Before, I was, just barely off the ground, and you could drive it home, but you get to bouncing a little bit and start dragging. And on this car, a lot of things hang below the frame, the transmission pan, the oil pan, and that stuff's pretty beat up from dragging through the years of me and whoever else owned this vehicle. So I definitely want to do something about that too. Maybe weld some steel on the bottoms of those to get the frame down a little bit lower than the rest of that stuff, or maybe some drag blocks or something like that. Maybe you can make some suggestions. Anyway, back to the heat issue. It has to either be, well, it could be 3 things, honestly. It's either I'm going to add the electric fans, which I don't really think is the issue. I think there's something else there that's causing the overheating. The water pump hasn't been changed. So, and the cheapest I've been able to find a rebuilt water pump for this thing is $200. I can buy them anytime I want for $350, which is crazy price for a water pump that I don't even really know it needs, and to do that work. It probably still is not more than a day's worth of work, but when I do pull the front end off, I want to power wash, because there's a lot of grease on that front end, and maybe that's some of the heat issues too. If it isn't one of those 2 things, though, then it's got to be something internal, and I'm just not ready to put the money and time into pulling this engine out right now when I have all these other projects. My 89 has got to get done before I really rip into this, assuming that I hold on to this car, which I probably will, because I really, really like it. That's just how it is. That's where I'm at right now. It seems to me that throwing an electric fan on the front would be the easiest thing to do. But I only have one port where I can put a temperature sending unit or whatever you want to call it. And since I switched over to my temperature gauge, I took the dummy light away. So I don't even know at what temperature the dummy light came on. And I don't have any other ports to put one of those sensors that I can find. There's definitely not any on the intake unless I want to do away with my heater. Which, it's always something, right? I don't want to do away with the heater. Like, morning like today, this heater would be pretty nice whenever you're cruising around. I've already got to fix some issues with it anyway, and I have to rig it with a pair of vice grips on the little vacuum modules or whatever you call them to get the air to go where I want. But at least the heat does work. I know that it's flowing through the heater core and everything in there is clean. If something is clogged up in the motor, though, that's just nothing I can do right now. I'm going to have to Band-Aid, double Band-Aid until we can get through it all. That's the only thing I can say. But even if I wasn't going to hold on to this car, I still wouldn't want to get rid of it with the issues that I know that are there. Plus, you get more money if it ain't got no issues when you try to sell it. And there's nothing worse than an ad that says, needs a $5 part. really? Why wouldn't you just get that $5 part if it's so easy and just do it yourself? And then you wouldn't have to write this whole line. You could blah, blah, blah. Fix it if you can. That's what I'm doing. So this is my love machine. If you've ever seen Up in Smoke, this is my version of Cheech's love machine. Well, I think I've rambled on here enough. 10 minutes. I hope you guys are going to be on board with us being monetized, and you'll help out a little bit. Watch the ads, share the videos, subscribe, click on the notification bells, comment, man. If you go back through, I try to reply to everyone's comments, try to give advice. I take advice, whatever, man. We're all in this together. Keep on trucking.